everybody. How about a hand of applause for those singers? My name's Pat Thompson. I'm the CEO of Link Up Queensland. Welcome to our apology event today. That song was written and produced by those, our clients. We have music therapy workshops, and we had Shelley Morrison, who's a well-known singer, songwriter, attend a music therapy workshop with those clients, and this is the wonderful work that our staff at Link Up do with our clients. So a wonderful song I'm sure you'll all appreciate. So thank you very much, and I'm glad that I hope that some of them are watching today, because we're live streaming this as well, and that they're included as part of this program today. Welcome. I'm glad that you could be here today. Just a little bit of housekeeping. The doors are open into the theatre. Toilets, of course, are in the foyer. No smoking in the building. And if people could turn their mobile phones off, please, while we're having this event today. So first of all, I would like to introduce Uncle Ken Murphy, although he needs no introduction. I'm sure a lot of you know him. Uncle Ken is a Ginniburra traditional owner from Woodford and much of the Gladstone Glasshouse Mountains area on the Sunshine Coast. I think when I've introduced him before, I said that it makes him a mountain man because he's a traditional owner from that Sunshine Coast area. Ginniburra people have secured their native title through determination, and that's something that Uncle Ken, of course, is very proud of. Uncle Ken's been on the board of Link Up now for over 6 years and has worked in the juvenile justice area over many years, supporting and mentoring young people at risk, helping them to get back on track and supporting their families. So please welcome Uncle Ken.
Could have kept the applause going. How you going, guys? How you doing? Just checking the time. Good morning, everybody. I've got my list written down here, so I'll read through that, because they shanghaied me. I live on an island now, so I don't come over town very much. I can yarn and gossip and stuff like that. And I never used to do that very much. I was too shy. But I'll just read it off, just what I got here now. Thank you, Pat. How come you got a first up? Hey, first up. Welcome everybody to our apology today. To begin with, I acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners, past and present, and the land of which we are meeting on today. I think it's, I don't know whether it's, who's, hey? Jagera. Yeah, Jagera, eh? Ade. My brother. We also acknowledge our elders past and present. And welcome to our guest speakers today, Auntie Lorraine and Uncle Robert, and our federal and state ministers, Terry Butler and Kate Crawford. Thank you for attending our supporting Link Up. You two out there? Hayden. Today's about honouring the stolen generation for us to, and we all got this in our resume, for listening and sharing their survival stories and all that. And we all got our stories too that you know, from anyone that's black, I suppose, knows about it. The past 11 months have been pretty hard with the COVID thing, because it's made our workers for connection and all that hard, and yet they've got through it and done a lot of work, you know, a lot of challenges and that, and they still went up north with all their this COVID around, so they can't stop us. Could we have a minute's silence to remember their loved ones, please? Can we stand up, or you fellas all old? You young fellas can stand up anyway. Straighten your leg up properly. Have a minute silence, eh? Thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce the Waka Waka dancers. A lot of these boys I probably know. I can't see them there in the dark, but a lot of them I know. Oh, you bony ass. No, hey, who's this? Hey, what? They were my mob. How you going?
Not bad, thank you.
You got that ditch?
Yeah, you got him there.
You into it? You into it? Yeah. All right, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
First dance I'd like to do, I'd like to thank you for having us here in the first place in Jaguar country. Auntie Pat for inviting us here. First dance, Gurri and Nami, welcome dance, Waka Waka people. Yo! Drrrr. Up. Yo Gurri and Nami, Jojo Mobero no, Gurri and Nami, Gurri and Nami, Jojo Mobero no, Gurri and Nami, Jojo Mobero no, Gurri and Nami, Jojo Mobero no, Gaya man marangai, Gaya man marangai, Jagon gun ganyon go, Gaya man marangai, Jagon gun ganyon go, Gaya man marangai, Jagon gun ganyon go, Gurri in the Nami, Gurri in the Nami, Jojo Mobi Rono, Gurri in the Nami, Jojo Mobi Rono. This next dance we like to do is mosquito dance. Gugu Andalji, Gugu Imaji people. This dance tells about our people when we would migrate from the bush to the sea. There's plenty of food in the mangroves, also plenty of mosquitoes. So what our people did, just broke bushy leaves, grabbed bushy leaves, squatted the mosquitoes away as gathering for food in the mangroves. Same time, good for our environment too. This dance, Injera Baigan, mosquito dance. Yo Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Yo Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Yo Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Yo Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Yo Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. Yo Injera Baiganil, Nale Wanana. I'd like to thank you for having us here. It's pity we couldn't be here any longer. This dance, a farewell dance as well, Gary and Nami. Same dance we did at the start. Have a good day. Thank you. Yo! Yo, Gary and Nami, Jojo Mobero, no, Gary and Nami, Gary and Nami, Jojo Mobero, no, Gary and Nami, Jojo Mobero, no, Gary and Nami, Jojo Mobero, no, Gayaman Maranga, Gayaman Maranga, Jagun Kunganun. Gayaman Maranga, Jagun Gunganyon go. Gayaman Maranga, Jagun Gunganyon go. Gary in the Nami, Gary in the Nami, Jojo Mobero no. Gary in the Nami, Jojo Mobero.
Thank you very much, Livo and the Waka Waka dancers. Just another round of applause for them, please. As Uncle Ken said a bit earlier, COVID has been a challenge over the almost 12 months now. So organising events like this has had its challenges because of COVID and us having to follow the health advice on social distancing and sanitising. So you'll see QPAC staff come out and sanitise the microphones between speakers. So, but it's just what we've got to live with in these challenging times. I've got to introduce two speakers now because of the COVID rules. So firstly, Auntie Lorraine Peters is our first speaker, and then she'll be followed by Terry Butler, who is the federal member for Griffith. Auntie Lorraine Peters, at the age of 4 years old, she was forcibly removed and separated from her family and placed in an institution. Auntie Lorraine has devoted many years of her life to supporting Aboriginal people heal from past and present traumas and to help others understand the unique experiences of stolen generation. Through her healing work and her journey, this is necessitated by this traumatic event in her childhood and her involvement with the healing of others. Auntie Lorraine has developed a model of healing in response to the great demand, and through collaboration with others. She also went on to develop the Muramali program, which is an accredited training program that aims to increase the quality and support available to stolen generations. And we appreciate the work that Auntie Lorraine does and that program. We have our staff on the training program with Auntie Lorraine, as do other Aboriginal organisations around the country, not just Aboriginal organisations, but mainstream organisations as well. Auntie Lorraine is the recipient of many awards for her significant healing work, and she also played an active advocacy role in the lead up to the national apology given by the then Prime Minister Kevin Rudd on the 13th of February 2008. On that day, she presented Mr Rudd with the gift of a glass coolamon, traditionally a vessel for carrying children, containing a message thanking the Parliament for the apology and a symbol of hope that Indigenous people placed in a new relationship. The second speaker is Ms Terry Butler, and Terry is our federal member for Griffith. Terry was elected into this seat when the former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd resigned in 2014. And Terry is a very hard-working member on many committees in the federal parliament, for which we're grateful. Prior to entering Parliament, Terry worked as a union organiser, a communications officer, a lawyer, and of course she is a wife and a mum. And we thank Terry for her support and advocacy on behalf of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. We live in this electorate. Our link-up office is in her federal electorate, so we can always contact Terry when we need some help. So please welcome Auntie Lorraine, followed by Terry Butler. Thank you.
Good morning all. First and foremost, I need to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we gather, also all invited guests. I also would like to acknowledge all stolen generations that are in the room, their families and whole communities, and for those still trying to find their way home, and never to forget those that didn't make it. I want to thank you to Link Up for inviting me here to speak today. And it's organisations like yours who continue to do the hard work for stolen generation people. I'd like to thank all Link Up services all around the country, and also to acknowledge Coral Edwards, the co-founder of Link Up back in the 80s. I remember her as a baby entering Cootamundra Domestic Training Home for Aboriginal girls, where we grew up together. As an adult, she and Peter Reid were helping other Cootamundra women who were trying to find their way back home, and that meant accessing files. They asked for a grant to help them with the printing of files for the clients in those days. I remember they were offered $5,000 and was told by government that should do it. Little did they know, all these years later. So today, we are here to acknowledge the apology. 13 years have passed since the apology, and we sit back and reflect on where we are today and how far we have come. My thoughts always go back to the trailblazers and to remember those that have passed on. Their voices were being heard from all corners of Australia, and still today. On this day, you will always be remembered. All we wanted was to be acknowledged and some recognition that this did happen to us. We wanted to be heard, and we must never forget them as we continue their work. Every year when the apology comes around, I think of my 4-year-old self and how she suffered under the horrible policy that removed me from my family. I see my 4-year-old self standing there, told to take my clothes off, which were burnt, my hair shaven, then deloused with DDT. Then they showed me a bed, which I was to sleep in for the next 14 years, and even gave me a religion. I am 83 this year, but I needed to hear someone say sorry on the way I was treated, right? But you know, as I realised it wasn't my pain, it was about saying sorry. It was about my parents' pain. Just those words. I say sorry to the families for taking their children away. There were 8 of us that were taken all at once. We were frightened and scared of the unknown, and we were transported to the institutions as young children. I sit and reflect, it gives me the strength to carry on. I wanted better for my children. The apology was the recommendation of the Bringing Them Home report, which was tabled in Parliament in 1997, which with much resistance from the government. The report was the result of a national inquiry which heard over 500 testimonies of stolen generation survivors. It took 10 years of advocating for our own mob to ensure the apology happened, and it did happen. When we heard the apology was to happen, the air was electrifying all over the country. I remember 13 years ago, I was given the honour of a lifetime being recognised to carry the message on behalf of all stolen generations. The night before, I was asked by a senior public servant to present the Prime Minister of the day, Kevin Rudd, with the gift of a message of hope on the fourth floor of Parliament. Then I said, "Why me? There are lots of people here you can pick." They said, "You are the one to be chosen." So what an honour, and I hardly slept that night. The gift was, as Pat said, a glass Coolerman, and the colours in that are red, black and yellow. And it sits there in Parliament House with the message of hope. This was so I'll read what the message was. It was, "The gift is a symbol of hope we place in the new relationship you wish to forge with our people. We have a new covenant between our people that we will do all we can to make sure our children are carried forward, loved and nurtured, and able to live a full life." This was a message 13 years ago to government. The hard work of the state link-up services around the country, we thank you for bringing us home, and it's not easy work you do. My work with my daughter, the Maramali program, is to help those heal and help workers to give trauma-informed model of healing to all stolen generations. We can relax knowing our legacy is in good hands. So as we continue to heal from past wrongs and pull on our strengths and resilience, our focus now is on our children and grandchildren, and now our greats. Our story must be carried forward. We need to give them hope, strength and love. Just a message for all young people. Hold your head up high. Be proud of who you are. We give you our strength, wisdom and knowledge and resilience to continue walking down the road to healing. We never want you to sit in our pain. Use your energy to be positive. Find your purpose and follow your dream. Make sure we are not forgotten. This is your legacy. The story must live on. We hope you will continue to walk in our footsteps and leave your footprints for generations to come. The past is in all of us. Thank you.
What a beautiful address from Auntie Lorraine. I'm Terry Butler. I'm the local federal member here on the south side, and I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. We're standing on land for which sovereignty was never ceded. I acknowledge all stolen generations and their families, including anyone connected with the former Cranbrook House, which, as you all know, is just a little to the west of here. I know that today we're all thinking of all of the stolen generations, including the girls and young women who were taken there against their and their families' wills. I want to acknowledge Ken Murphy, the chair of the Link Up Board, and all members of the Link Up Board. And let me once again acknowledge the late Uncle Sam Watson Sr., who had such a vast influence over so many years. To Patricia Thompson and her staff, who have led this organisation so well and have helped countless families to reunite. To Uncle Robert West, who's speaking to you. To Minister Craig Crawford, who will be speaking to you. and to my friend as well, Assistant Minister Lance McCallum, who I believe will be with you a little later this morning, to my fellow local representatives, and importantly to all of the artists who are performing today, whether you're dancers, musicians, poets. It's wonderful to have the benefit of your performances as we acknowledge this very important anniversary. Those old enough to do so remember the shame and the shock that rippled across the land when the Bringing Them Home report was tabled in Federal Parliament on the 26th of May 1997. The report, as Auntie Lorraine said, came out of the national inquiry into the separation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from their families, which Labor had established in government. At the time the inquiry was launched, the then Labor Minister Robert Tickner said, "Put bluntly, the consequences of the former policy of taking children from their families was a human rights issue that would not and will not go away." And on the day he launched that inquiry, he drew the connection between this new inquiry and the Aboriginal Deaths in Custody Royal Commission, saying that as 43 of the 99 people whose deaths had been investigated had experienced childhood separation from their natural families through intervention of state authorities, commissions or other institutions. That was the connection that he drew on the day that he launched the inquiry, and he said that he hoped the inquiry would do a lot of things, and one of them was actually to educate non-Indigenous Australians who he thought would be surprised to learn of the extent and recency of the separations. And as I said, when the final report was tabled, the response was shame and it was shock. So it's fitting that the report on the trauma inflicted on the stolen generations be acknowledged every year on National Sorry Day, as we'll do again, I'm sure, this May. And it was important that the Prime Minister give an apology on behalf of the nation to the stolen generations. And as you know, that didn't happen immediately. Again, those of us old enough to remember will know that it took many years and the election of a Labor government before the apology was given. And that happened on 13 February 2008 when Prime Minister Kevin Rudd publicly apologised on behalf of the federal government to the stolen generations. And I was talking to Auntie Lorraine backstage about the day and asking her what it was like to be there on the floor of the Parliament and to see Kevin. And she wanted me to send my best wishes to him. So I just flicked him a little selfie of me and Auntie Lorraine backstage. And he's responded to pass on his love to Auntie Lorraine, to the Cooter girls and to Link Up Queensland. So I just wanted to pass on that quick message from Kevin as well. Of course, as you know, tomorrow marks the 13th anniversary of the National Apology. The anniversary is an important day on the calendar each year. It's a day to remember the grief, suffering and injustice experienced by the stolen generations, and not only as a matter of history, of course, but also as an ongoing suffering, because the trauma that was caused is intergenerational. And the anniversary of the apology is a day of recognition. It's a day to acknowledge the resilience and the strength of the stolen generations and their families. The effects of the trauma from the forcible breaking up of families are still making themselves known. And there have been other hard and distressing problems too. Black Lives Matter and the campaign against deaths in custody, over-incarceration, missing and murdered women, racism. There are so many matters demanding your attention in the ongoing work towards justice. The resilience and the strength of the stolen generations and all Indigenous people in the face of those struggles are an example to everyone. The anniversary of the apology is also a day to listen to people to better understand what they need in order to heal. It's a day to understand that the effects of trauma are manifesting in multiple ways and that we all have an obligation to act with compassion and acknowledgement. I remain hopeful that we'll have more opportunities to listen once there's a formal Indigenous voice to Parliament enshrined in the Constitution. Finally, I want to observe that the anniversary of the National Apology is a day of gratitude. We are grateful to all of those who have sought justice and healing. We are grateful to Link Up Queensland and all similar organisations for the challenging, personal and caring work they do day in, day out to reunite families, even if that can only be done in some cases at the graveside. Thank you for the work you've done and the work that you are continuing to do. Link Up Queensland, you too are an example to everyone in your perseverance and compassion.
Thank you very much, Auntie Lorraine and Terry, two really amazing women doing amazing work. And of course, we have lots of amazing women in our audience as well that do amazing work every single day. I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Amy McMahon, who's here today and in the audience. Amy is the new member for South Brisbane, so we welcome her here as well. We live in this electorate, in her electorate, our office is in this electorate. So thank you very much, Amy, for taking the time to attend today. I'd now like to welcome to the stage Jungaji Brady and his son Trinae. We were looking forward to listening to Dean today. I'm sure a lot of you remember Dean Brady, watching him on Australian Idol back in, I think, 2013. And I'm still seeing him as that little boy. But the Brady family are a very talented musical family. So thank you very much for coming along today. Thank you. A round of
Pleasure,
applause.
Auntie Pat, thank you. And Uncle Kenny Murphy, my respects to the traditional owners, Aboriginal custodians of this this beautiful country here, where we are celebrating something that's unique and yeah, it's a beautiful ceremony. My name is Jungaji, that's my skin name. You all know me, some might know me as Troy out there in the community, elders. Yeah, the apology, I was there. 2008, I had the pleasure of being invited down to perform. And it was, for me, I was 31. I had 2 kids. They were small boys, and it was actually my nan's birthday. She's passed on to the dreaming now. But yeah, it was her birthday. I think she was 70. And yeah, it was a beautiful time for me to be down there just to represent the family. Also with, I suppose in terms of where we are as the First Nations people today. And, you know, with the apology, it is a beautiful sentiment, but where are we today as a nation? You know, 441 of our people are still, who have been buried in the ground through Black Death and custody. I have a representation of our people, youth, detention centres, custodial centres. According to the universal, what is it called? Or some stat that a body had done overseas, we are the most incarcerated peoples on the planet per capita. So when you think about things like that, and also, yeah, we've still got a long way to go as a nation, and until we, you know, address certain things and bring about understanding and awareness about what it is to be a black fella, particularly me as, you know, growing up in Anala, you know, caught between the two worlds. Hello, Baba. Hey, who's that? Hey, hey, daughter. Being caught between that two worlds, this, we call it Juna Mundu, this urban world, but also that traditional world. I was fortunate to meet a beautiful old Guguyalanji man when I was 13 years of age. I argued my father, Dad, I don't want to go up and see, you know, I was young and silly. I wanted to stay in Anala and play basketball. He said, son, me and my big brother, no, you're getting up here, he's 104 years of age. You know, and this is back, you know, when we were young fellas in the early 90s. So long story short, Dad took me and my brother up there. And I'm sitting down, and when I heard this old man talk this Guguyalanji language, it was like Jatamali, like lightning. And it just struck me, because I always wondered, growing up in Anala, going to Anala High School, what is my identity? What is my connection to the dream time? And just hearing that old man talk and looking into his eyes, my dreaming was right there. So coming forth another 30 odd years and stuff, I've got 2 little grandkids now. My big boys are big. And I see my dreaming in them younger fellas. So hence why, you know, fighting for social justice within this country and not being complacent with where we are at now. Not just as blackfellas, but as the broader community too. If we're going to put in place, you know, policies and procedure with substance, let's make it happen beyond an apology. Having said that, it's my auntie's honey Sherry. We lost her in September at the Brisbane Watch House. She's 50 today. Bless her beautiful heart. I want to dedicate this one to her because I know that she'll be right there by Nana Heather. It goes like this. It's called Cow Court. It's the road. Ngali wabu nulunati kanga nganya nungena kala kalpa elamba berengaji perangaji ngandang ngaragapji jalannya Maringi Janggugu Bodigila Ini karena niko Janggugu Jarmali Watu bupo Bupomo Ngeyu Tunga Kaukur Kaukur Jina butunga ngiwawu yundu Nyulu gucela Jawa apa Yalamba berengaji peranggaji Ngandang ngaragap penji alinya Kari barengge Ini karena kau Jika ku cermali Waktu bubu mo Yeyu tunga Kau kur Kau kur Kawan jirku Kawan jirku Jika ku bertigala Ini karena niko Jika ku termali Waktu bubu mo Yeyu tunga Kaukur 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 Thank you. And thanks to granddaughter here too. You're beautiful. Mwah. Poppy, love you. I'd like to do one more song for you guys, if you don't mind. And she's right. Let her have a beautiful time. She listens to Poppy. I'd like to bring up my nephew. My little son was supposed to be on board here today, but he fell crook. So I got my other nephew. I said, on the FaceTime, I said, where are you? He said, oh, I'm at West End. I said, well, get over here. I've got your little gig here quickly. Trinae Brady, come out here, son. Oh, there he is.
Two.
Yeah, you are. I wrote this song with a beautiful gentleman by the name of Uncle Stevie Hart. He resides in Cherbourg. And, yeah, it's a beautiful song, and it's honouring our women within our communities, the matriarchs, and, You know, as men, we can be quite cantankerous and stubborn sometimes, think we know everything, infallible, bulletproof. But that old beautiful woman puts us straight into check. In particular, my mother, she's sitting there with a smile on her face. Well, yeah, I see you. Yeah, old kisses. But celebrating our women and just honouring from womb to the tomb. Always respect. And we pass it on to our daughters and our sons and and the kids that are yet to be born. What do you reckon, Trinae Brady? This song is called Waka Waka Woman. You had the dancers out here before, the brothers, so celebrating our women in our communities. I'm an ordinary man trying to understand. I walk so many planes, head low to hide my shame. I've never shown my tears, sorry but it's true. Why can't we stoke our fire, sing to the same tune? Oh honey, when I call and it's unusual, I'll bring a loaf of bread and a flower for your heart. That smile's been replaced, our house is not a home. I know I played the fool, clown and made them laugh.
Oh, waka waka woman with pretty brown skin. My waka waka woman, she's gone with the wind. I'm a solitary guy, but your presence brings my life. But let us bring the rain so we can love the night. You define who I am, every inch down to my soul. Western winds can tell you on, telling me to go. There's footy in the park, was where I used to run. Was where I caught your eye, was the apple of your love. Please mercy your man, oh God, I'm feeling low. The welcome sign is down, my woman let me go. My waka waka woman with pretty brown skin. My waka waka woman, she's gone with the wind. But every night I pray for you to return. Waka waka woman, I bleed for you, girl. Waka waka woman, goodbye my love. 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 Thank you.
How wonderful was that? We'll hear from them again just before we finish today, so look forward to hearing them sing again. Thank you very much, boys. I'd now like to introduce our next speaker, who is Uncle Robert West. Uncle Robert is a Waka Waka man from Eidsvold, and he grew up in Cherbourg. And Uncle Robert's going to tell us a little bit about his life growing up in Cherbourg and in the dormitory days. So please welcome Uncle Robert West.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I was. First of all, I'd like to give my my respect to the traditional owners of this country. And yeah, I was reared up on a station called Auburn Station between Chinchilla and Mundubra, and I was out there till I was 10 years of age, no education or anything. All my brothers and I, because I was the eldest there, we never had any there weren't a lot of people around, and so I think when we was about going on to 10, we went into Eidsvold, and they was going to get an education there, and anyway, nothing really happened. So they said we were neglected and all, and anyway, we ended up in Cherbourg in 1952, and that's when I first went to school, and only had grade 6 education, because I started in grade 2 and all. Anyway, I was reared up in the boys' dormitory, which was very strict and regimental sort of procedures and all. It was pretty tough, and also, before I forget too, I'd like to include the non-Indigenous kids too, that I believe went through the same situation as we did. So I think about them as well. But, you know, with those Aboriginal kids and all, we was in the dormitory, we was confined to Cherbourg in that area, and then we was also, the dormitories were also contained in that area as well. You know, we weren't allowed to go up to the, what they used to call the camping area, where our relations or people were. We was just had to stay in the dormitories and just live around that area. Discipline was very strict them days. Anyway, I sort of was one of them hard-headed fellas, even though I have my moments, but I sort of wanted to be a working man. When I left school there, I left at the age of 15, because starting real late and everything, and went to work on the farm, at Cherbourg there. And I think to this day it's still the worst job I've ever had, if anyone knows anything about milking cows. But then they sent me out to Auburn Station, and I worked out there, and I ended up getting my exemption. I didn't let any of that sort of thing deter me along the way, my education, anything. You know, I was just was concentrating on working and everything. Anyway, ended up in Mount Isa, and this is what some of the things that can happen to you when you haven't got education. I was mainly a labourer all my life, and up at Mount Isa there, and no one could tell me anything about my job. You know, whatever job I did, I learnt it right through. And they wanted to make me a foreman underground, but because of my education, I did not know anything about doing reports up, so missed out on that. Then I also tried for a job being an Aboriginal ranger, but the same thing happened there, that you had to do up reports, and so, but all that sort of stuff. It never worried me, you know. I just wanted to work, and it was like I said, all those sort of things were difficult as we grew up. We had a lot of wonderful friends, people that we met from all over Queensland, whom we would never have met otherwise, that were sent to the mission, because I missed out on all my own people. And as I was just sort of saying there, just thinking about a funeral I attended a couple of weeks ago where friends that I knew, I haven't seen them in 64 years. You know, we haven't seen each other at all, you know, so, but just coming back to the dormitory and everything there, and as I said, went out to work. I didn't let anything stand in my way. I wanted to do the right thing. And anyway, I ended up in Mitchell there, was going out that way to do ring barking, which was 9 hours a day and 6 days a week, all the time. And anyway, just went into Mitchell. I should mention, in the dormitory, you know, there were no love or affection or consideration like that was ever taught to us, you know, particularly to the boys if we was getting up to around about 15, 16, when most of us left school, you know, like to say, well, Robert, you know, you fellas are entering into manhood now. We'll tell you a little bit about this and a bit about that, but nothing like that ever happened. And anyway, about, I forget what it was, about 62, yeah, 62, I was up in Mitchell and all, ring barking and everything, and anyway, I had some mates there, and one of their sisters came up from Ipswich and introduced us, you know, and thought to myself, what's happening here? Like, I've got stars in my eyes. What does this mean? You know, like, mystified with this sort of thing. Anyway, shook hand and how do you do that? And when I looked at it again, and these stars coming in, and then someone said, "Hey, that's what they call love, eh? Don't you know anything about love?" And anyway, ended up marrying there in Mitchell, but you know, and then that's a little bit about me. Like I said, I wasn't one who sort of fell by the wayside or anything like that, even though I was a labourer all my life. But you know, some of my friends and everything, you know, they didn't handle it too well, and some of them passed on well before their time. But yeah, my mind's starting to go on me now. Boy, let me see, that's what that stars does to you. And, but like I'm saying, I better get to Prime Minister Rudd, former Prime Minister Rudd, what he said. I was overwhelmed with that, and I'm sure a lot of other people were when he made that announcement, and I believe it's tomorrow will be the 13th anniversary. So to Mr. Rudd and his family, and I'm very grateful, and I know, like I knew nothing about politics, only just watching news and everything, that you know, one step at a time, you know, I suppose we want more, but I think that was a real good beginning there from Mr. Kevin Rudd, you know, at that time. So with that, I'll say thanks very much. Ta.
Thank you very much, Uncle Robert. And I think all of us as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have similar stories. Our parents, our grandparents, people like me, the younger generation as well, have our stories of how we've grown up. My family comes from Cherbourg as well. But we're really proud that our people are resilient and strong, and that they're strong for the younger generation and people coming through. So thank you very much, Uncle Robert. We now have poet Teresa Creed. Teresa is a Kalkadoon and Pita woman from far northwest Queensland. Teresa shares her stories and sings shares songs and stories from her people through poetry. So Teresa today is accompanied by John Tracy. Please welcome Teresa Creed and John. Thank you.
Since the white people stepped on these shores, and with the stolen children, my people have been living in anguish. And there is a time for every purpose under heaven, and a time for healing those scars. Who will hinder our healing in these generations? God forbid, and God have mercy. Why do they need to take the babies away? They need the milk from their mother's husu. They can't walk or talk or work. What kind of love have you got planned for them? Stolen lives, stolen land, stolen wages, stolen love, stolen love. Years gone by, and I still wonder why my mother, grandmothers and aunties got treated this way. I remember the pain when they took you away. It was like yesterday. Perla, Perla, my baby, my baby. I ran till you was gone out of my sight. What could I do? The government said it was right that you had to go. How could I know? What could I do? I couldn't help you. I waited for you to return year after year. Then it all became clear that you won't come back to me. Darn, maybe one day you might be free.
Thank you very much, Teresa and John. Our next speaker is the Honourable Craig Crawford, who is the State Minister for Seniors, Disability Services and the Minister for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Partnerships. Craig was raised on a dairy farm in Western Victoria. We won't hold that against him coming up here to Queensland. He started his work in hotel management, a volunteer firefighter and also an ambulance paramedic. Craig is the member for Barron River, which is up in North Queensland, and as the ministerial champion for Mornington Island and Palm Island has allowed him to understand firsthand the issues that impact on the lives of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in Queensland remote and discrete communities, and also in urban and rural settings. So please welcome the Minister Craig Crawford. Thank you.
Good morning. Could I begin by acknowledging traditional owners, paying respects to elders past, present and emerging on the land of which this event is taking place. Before I begin, I want to pay tribute to your former chairperson, Uncle Sam Watson, a great man, a great leader of his people, and a staunch advocate for the work of Link Up. Can I acknowledge Terry Butler MP, member for Griffith, Shadow Minister for Environment and Water. I believe Lance McCallum, Assistant Minister Lance McCallum, is with us as well. Amy McMahon is here. Can I also acknowledge any other members of Parliament who I have missed. I believe we have some councillors here as well. 3 levels of government coming here today to acknowledge this special event. Can I acknowledge Ken Murphy, Chairperson of Link Up, Auntie Lorraine Peters, Uncle Robert West, and Pat Thompson, the CEO of Link Up. As Kevin Rudd said 13 years ago, we apologise for the hurt, the pain and the suffering that we, the Parliament, have caused you by the laws that previous parliaments have enacted. We apologise for the indignity, the degradation and the humiliation these laws embody. 13 years later, I stand here today, a visitor on your country, to offer my apology for the pain and suffering inflicted on those children who today we recognise as members of the stolen generation. As a result of being forcibly removed, these children were stripped of their connection to family, land, culture and language. Taken to homes and institutions, many suffered abuse and neglect. There can be no greater suffering for a parent than the loss of a child. The mothers and fathers left behind suffered that unimaginable pain. The 1997 Bringing Them Home report found that almost 30% of children were forcibly removed in the years between 1910 and 1970, a time not that long ago. And many of you here today are living testament, subjected to a system that had and continues to have devastating impacts. Many of those children removed have gone on to become mothers and fathers, raising their own families while grappling with the lasting impacts of forced removal and the ongoing fear of losing their children through contemporary policy arrangements. I want to acknowledge the strength those parents have shown as they do their best to support their children despite having their own childhood taken from them. When it comes to Queensland's First Nations youth, descendants of the stolen generation, as government we must recognise the deep complexity that comes with intergenerational trauma. With an over-representation of Indigenous youth in our justice system, it is clear that the structures and the systems in place are failing. For that, I am personally sorry. As the Minister for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Partnerships, I recognise the current approach to addressing challenges, particularly regarding youth justice, will have limited impact unless accompanied by a significant focus on understanding and addressing the level of trauma experienced. And I want you to know that I am having those conversations with my parliamentary colleagues. The term frozen trauma is used to explain how past trauma can remain in the present. Central to understanding and overcoming frozen trauma is the need to have those experiences acknowledged. That is what the National Apology speech did. It named the unnameable and spoke the truth about our past. It served as a testament to the ongoing resilience and strength of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. It was a catalyst for reconciliation, healing and change. Out of the National Apology, the National Closing the Gap targets were born. The federal and state governments collectively committed to closing the gap on Indigenous disadvantage. A revised national agreement on closing the gap, this time informed and led by First Nations peoples, has recently been announced. I'm committed to working with my parliamentary colleagues to achieve the 16 targets outlined in the agreement. I know it's not going to be easy, but I'm committed to work hard to see progress towards their achievement. I'm also committed to supporting the work of critical partnerships like the partnership between the Queensland Government and Link Up. For more than 20 years, the Queensland Government has partnered with Link Up Queensland to provide Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Queenslanders with access to government records, to support to reconnect with their families, their people, their country and their personal histories. During this time, the Community and Personal Histories Unit has completed more than 20,000 requests for historical records relating to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Queenslanders, including 625 requests during the year 2019-2020. More broadly, the Queensland Government is committed to reframing the relationship with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Truth-telling, self-determination are important principles in this commitment. As the Uluru Statement calls for a new relationship between First Nations and the Australian nation based on justice and self-determination, in Queensland we echo that sentiment and have committed to progressing path to treaty. Queenslanders have expressed a strong desire for truth-telling and honesty about our shared history, and for this to be at the heart of progressing the treaty-making process in Queensland. We have listened to calls from generations of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to progress a path to treaty here in Queensland. We know that the greatest outcomes are achieved by working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. We have seen that throughout history. In 1967, the majority of Australians were united and delivered a referendum that recognised Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in the census. In 1995, a national inquiry into the separation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from their families commenced. By the end of 1996, nearly 800 submissions had been heard, and in May 1997, the Bringing Them Home report was tabled in Parliament. In 2008, the national apology was delivered by Kevin Rudd on behalf of government, and we saw COAG commit to an investment of $4.6 billion towards closing the gap on Indigenous disadvantage. In 2017, the Uluru Statement, and in 2020, the Palaszczuk government tabled the Queensland Government's response and commitment to path to treaty, which will provide a mechanism for a reframed relationship based on truth and healing. When we reflect on the national apology made 13 years ago, it is important to acknowledge the injustice of the past and the impact that it has had. It's also important to recognise we've come a long way as a nation. I'm sure many of you here today never thought you would be witness to a serious conversation about treaty in your lifetime. And I'm glad to say this important conversation is finally happening here in Queensland. And of course, it is thanks to community leaders and elders, some who are here today, who don't stop fighting for justice, for equality, and who keep government accountable. I extend my heartfelt thanks to Link Up Queensland for your incredible effort over the years, for the care, for the compassion that you show to those who are part of the Link Up family. And I look forward to hearing your stories as we journey together on a path to treaty and truth-telling, and working in partnership with you to shape a better shared future for all Queenslanders. Thank you very much.
Yes, how you doing? Good. It's with great ceremony and pleasure that we are here celebrating the vanguards, the beautiful old people and the sacrifices and the trauma that they were exposed to. Some of those yarns that my father and my mother had passed down to me about, you know, some of the hardships that my grandparents and stuff had gone through, about our granddad Paddy going to the First World War in 1914 as a 14-year-old boy and coming back and, you know, he died before the 1967 referendum, a non-citizen. Stories of my other grandfather, Big Shot Fisher from Cherbourg, going back by being controlled by the Bell, being controlled by the protectors and stuff. It's something that us as a generation now got to find strength and resolve in those adversities that old people have had been confronted to. Grandfather Don, Pastor Don, marching across the bridge for social justice reform, putting in place so many things, him and then Aileen. Those things, we mustn't forget, and those are the types of education we must pass on to our children, not only our Indigenous children, First Nation, but the broader community too. This microphone seems to be getting lower and lower. I'm getting higher and higher, Gavin. But yeah. This song is by Uncle Archie Roach. It's called Paradise, and we have my other son here, and we usually do a 3-part harmony thing, but we'll be right. It's a beautiful, sentimental song, and it's a celebration of our beautiful, beautiful old people, and we always hold you dearest to our hearts, and your legacies and your cultural spears. You know, it's our obligation, our inherent cultural right to carry those and pass those strong on to our younger ones. Paradise. She was born in the Riverlands, born of her mother into her mother's hands. She was free as the river was wild. She was so innocent, such a beautiful child.
And they took away from paradise, where everything was beautiful and very nice. And they took away her mother's tongue, but slapped her around a little bit to teach her another one. In and out of institution, what could we do with this child? Where was the need solution? And there was nothing they could do, so they gave her to the streets. And she joined all the rest of the hungry and the tired. And they took away from paradise, where everything was beautiful and very nice. And they took away her mother's tongue, but slapped her around a little bit to teach her another one.
And the pondies, they don't swim here anymore. She met a boy who kinda knew some of the things she was going through, but he was confused, so he went away. Found him again, and here she is today.
And they took away from paradise, where everything was beautiful and very nice. And they took away her mother's tongue, but slapped her around a little bit to teach her another one. Thank you.
I've got one more song before we go and have a beautiful morning tea, I believe. Still here. This song is a song that I just released. It's called "Is There a Way?" In response to, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, the Aboriginal deaths in custody, and everything that we kind of having to deal with within the, you know, us in the border community. It's about, I believe, just about understanding, and you know, as a people's just, I know I get kind of emotional, but anyway, I've said enough. I'm just going to sing. This song is called "Is There a Way?" and I hope you enjoyed the shows. Auntie singing the songs, and I'd like to thank Linka for inviting me here to share, and also my brothers, the Waka Waka dancers, and also our beautiful elders who are in the dreamland, dreamtime, and wawa yuno ngari moko yala, yuno ko kure jinjara. Is there a way? Guys like this. Thank you. Sorry land, black coffins. Oh, we lay them down to rest. Broken souls, our old ones. Freedom trains forgot them there. Is there a way? Is there a way? Change a song, unite us all. System divides, our kids still fall. A nasty world, no happy days. Tear the walls and break the chains. Is there a way? Is there a way? If you want, you can sing with me. One more time. Is there a way? Everybody. Happy gaming. Hey. Two more times. Is there a way? Hey. Come on, we'll bring that one more time around. Everybody, come on. Is there a way? Is there a way? You did all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Brady boys and the Brady family and the Fisher families. I mean, there's so many of our families who make significant contributions to our community and to our people. So thank you very much for that. Wonderful voices. I'd just like to take the opportunity now to thank all of you for coming along today, and it's been a bit challenging, as I said a bit earlier, with COVID. A lot of our old people have wanted to stay inside. It's a terrible period of time that we're going through at the moment with the pandemic, but thank you all for coming out. I'd like to say thank you to our Link Up Board of Directors, Uncle Kenny Murphy, of course, for being here, Annie Fay, who's in the audience, Samantha, Willie Prince is here on the board, Annie Minnie Mace couldn't be here, and of course we acknowledge the work that our late Chairman, Uncle Sam Watson, has made to this community and to Link Up over the long period of time that he's worked very hard. Thank you to the Link Up staff. We have a wonderful team at Link Up who work very, very hard. I want to especially thank Michelle Risuggan, who's our communications manager, who's pulled this together today. Her little sidekick, Nakari, they've done a really wonderful job, and all of the staff, of course, who support pulling the program together. So thank you very much, Link Up staff. I'd also like to thank QPAC for working with us and allowing us to have our event here today. That hasn't been without its challenges either, but that's because of COVID. And particularly Hannah, who's been working very closely with us. So thank you, Hannah. I also want to thank our partners, Micah Projects, who works very closely with us. We always appreciate the support that Micah gives us. Life Without Barriers, our funding agencies, the Australian Government, at the Australian Government level, the National Indigenous Australians Agency, the Department of Social Services, and the state government through Minister Crawford's department, DATSIP, and also the Department of Child Safety, Youth and Women. And I just want to touch on Craig's words a little bit earlier. We certainly do appreciate the relationship that we have with DATSIP and the community and personal histories, particularly because we're able to go over to their offices. Our researchers sit in their offices over there a couple of days a week and are able to access records, really important records to help our people to connect with their families. There's not one family, I don't think, that's not been touched by removals. So we really appreciate that relationship and that we're able to research records and provide that information to our families. So thank you very much, Minister Crawford, for those lovely words that you said before. Thank you very much. I'd just like to now ask our guest speakers to come up just to receive a gift from us to show our appreciation. So Auntie Lorraine and Uncle Robert. Thank you very much. Two very wise people here, so thank you very much. Terry Butler's had to go. If I could ask Craig to come forward as well. Our musicians as well, if we could all come up, please. Brady boys, Teresa and John, and also Hannah. If Hannah could come forward as well, please. Thank you. Thank you. And Hannah? Is Hannah coming? Oh. There's Hannah. Thank you all very much. What a wonderful lineup we've had today. So thank you all very much for coming today. We've really enjoyed your speeches and your songs. So thanks very much. Thank you. Please don't leave yet. Enjoy the food out there.